All right, we are now recording. So, my name is Colleen Ryan. I am a kindergarten teacher at Rivermont Elementary. So, right now I'm actually in my classroom. So, excuse my crazy hair and things like that. We had Camp K today. And then I have been teaching for 6 years. I have been a class dojo ambassador for 2 years and a mentor for four. And today I have my lovely friend Arthur. I'll let him introduce himself, managing the chat box.
Can't say I've ever been introduced as a lovely friend. Heather Parker and Emily, take notes. I am a lovely friend. So I am Arthur Williams, an instructional coach at Lakeside Academy. And yep, thank you so much, Heather. And looking forward to getting down with this session.
Awesome. Thanks, Arthur. So he will be answering any questions or problems in the chat box and sharing them with me. He has tons of dojo knowledge as well. So today we're going to be talking about class dojo and consistency. So this isn't really a demo of how to use dojo. Those were recorded from last week's session. So if you haven't had a chance to watch those and you're still having questions, just go ahead and watch those on your own time to be able to really see how to get involved. So today we're going to actually really be talking about how I consistently use dojo and was very transparent with parents, and talking about some different tools that I use to kind of embed in to help make virtual learning or blended learning as great as possible. So don't be afraid to ask questions in the box. I am going to be sharing a lot of tools and add-ons and extensions. So if you feel overwhelmed, I understand, but I am going to share the presentation with the recording link as well. So we'll go ahead and get started. So our kind of agenda, we're going to first look at how do you get parent buy-in and using Google Forms to kind of help you make a plan in sharing on Dojo. Then number 2 is your communication, kind of creating that consistent structure and design. Number 3 is going to be what successful tools we can use that are easily embedded and able to be kid-friendly and make Dojo even more interactive than it already is. And then the last part is going to be more where you can ask questions and clarifications and wonders. So, Arthur, any dire questions right now, or are we ready to get started?
No, just, people saying loving the sessions and ready to get going. And everyone seems thrilled that I have been promoted to lovely friends. So
well, I'll make sure to add that title, next time that we tweet at each other. All right, so the first section is parent buy-in. So when I started the virtual learning during March, I was trying to figure out what would be the best structure for my parents. And so I really utilized a survey. I used Google Forms to see how parents wanted instruction presented, and also thinking about small group times, what would be the best time to meet with my family. So I'm actually gonna, there's some clickable links in here so you guys can kind of see my thinking. So the first thing I did, because we were all thrown into it, was I created a family check-in just to see where they are, how they were doing, and just kind of seeing who needed the help or who had the wonderings and things like that. Now, this year, depending on if we are, virtual or kind of getting them, I'm still going to use this method, but it's going to be a more interest, saying how does your family work? What are things that you need help with? And just kind of creating those norms to be able to build my physical classroom in my virtual classroom, whichever way it needs to go. So it was really helpful to just kind of collect those responses and see what I needed. The other thing that I used for Google Forms was, because I teach kindergarten, it's when we were doing a whole group lesson, it was more just me doing a social emotional lesson. I wasn't able to get into the academics and the nitty gritty. So I knew that I needed to create some one-on-one times or some small group times. So I actually created a form for one-on-one conferences and also one for small groups, just kind of telling them to put their student name and pick a date and time. Now, I know you're seeing that there's a lot of dates and times on here. I actually used it in an add-on that eliminated time so parents knew what was available, and it easily created a schedule for them. So You're probably like, what was the add-on, Colleen? So if you click on the little puzzle piece, add-ons are ways to make Google tools even better than what they already are. So you'll click on the add-on. You'll have to add it since you don't have it from your Google store, but it's called Choice Eliminator 2. So you would just click on it, press configure, a little hey note from Arthur saying, that this is the light version, which it still works. And then you can choose which question you want to be eliminated. Now it's drop down questions are the only ones that the choice eliminator will work because it's been picking a specific answer. So you would just find, the thing, you would click on it, say you want it to eliminate choices, and then you are good to go. So then as the parents are responding to it in their responses, and I look at the spreadsheet, it shows you which time they are, and it eliminates so they can't pick that time. And then I was able to then keep track of who did show, who didn't show, if I was able to complete them. So that's a tool that is very easy and helpful to use. And that add-on is really made my life a lot easier, and it made the parents' life with communication. So instead of saying, hey, I'm free from 8 to 5, first come, first serve, this allowed them to really look at their schedule and build that consistency. So that is kind of my start with parent buy-in. Are there any questions, Arthur, that's popped up so far?
No, I was singing the praises of Choice Eliminator and how I got to sample that just a bit at Lakeside back in early COVID time when we were only allowed to have one person per grade level in the building at a time.
Yes.
So people could pick their times and it went away. So that was good.
Yes. Hold on one second. I had to stop sharing my screen because I had a issue with technology. 1 second. Here we go. Alrighty. So now looking at communication. Now we know that Dojo is utilized a lot for communication. They have the great translating. They have just great features of really helping stay connected to your parents, but it's all about the structure. So when you are utilizing Dojo to communicate, if it's via messages, class story, school story, you want to make sure that your structure is the same so the parents always know quickly when they see it, oh, this is where I find my lessons. You want to make sure that it's also easy to read. And then throughout it, you want to be able to create independence for your students, especially those ones that are teaching second grade. They have a lot more independence with the technology than a kindergarten and maybe a beginning of the year first grader. So showing you, I'm going to show you my demo class. So I just named it HCS Learn. So when I present my weekly overview or my lessons, I did it all in a week and I make it to one post. And I just embed the links in. Now you can use bit.ly links like I did to shorten it, or you can automatically put in the link that gets created. So I really utilize my Google tools like Google Docs and Google Slides to help create that.
Hey, Colleen.
Yeah.
Would you be able to just show real quickly how you can copy and paste a link or something?
Yeah.
Right? We had a question for that.
Yeah. So if I was, let me just X out of this. So say I wanted to share this presentation to my class, I can just go to my shared. I can now, when you're getting your link to be able to share it, you want to make sure that, because I had parents that were not Hamilton County employees or they weren't using their student's Google account, I made sure to change it to say anyone with the link could view it. I made sure that it stayed viewer, not editor. And then I just copied the link. And then when I go to make a post, I would say, here is the link to today's lesson. And then I would just copy and paste it in. And then when I press share and it gets posted, it creates it as a hyperlink. So it's very, very easy to use it. Now I use bit.ly, which is a free site to create shorter links. So then you're not having all this, jargon with letters and numbers. And it just made it look cleaner. That's just my OCD-ness coming out of wanting it to look clean and things like that. So then I just was able to put it all throughout the week. And then any other things I wanted to do. So really creating that same consistency. If you look through my dojo from last year, the posts look exactly the same. You could probably ask Arthur from seeing it. I had the same wording the whole way through, and my parents knew. I also limited how much I posted on this class story, so the parents weren't getting bogged down with so many other posts, so they can easily, quickly, and find it. But Dojo actually came out with a feature to help with that, which is called events. So it's right here. On the teacher side, it keeps your events on the side, but to the parents, it keeps it right at the top, so it's always easily accessed. Now, I created an event with this learning, and I can do the same post in here with hyperlinks, but it stays pinned to the top because you can make it last the whole week. So let me show you what I mean. So if I wanted to create an event for today's lesson, I would create an event. I would name it, I'm just going to say PD. I can say that it's an all-day event. I can make it last. Say I want it, they needed to be able to access it all week. I can say for those 3 days. I can give the description. Here is the PD. I can put in the link. You get to change it to a cute emoji if you would like. You can change the background color. You can decide how you want parents, if they wanted, how you want them reminders. You can say that you want it to remind immediately that you created one 5 days before one day, or you can just say no, and it will still stay at the top of their thing. You press create, and now you can see that it's in there. And so as a teacher, I see it on the side, but to a parent view or to the student, it's going to stay at the top so they always have access to it. So for me, I'm going to really be using that feature a lot if I have to teach virtually, because it easily keeps it up to the top. You could also put your Zoom events, and you can easily just hyperlink the Zoom link into it, so the students aren't having to type in the meeting ID and things like that. So that was something that was really important and helpful to me for the wording. Are there any questions so far, Arthur?
No, it's looking, nothing popped up. People saying that they like the weekly arrangement, but no questions.
Okay. So the structure was one thing. Another thing that I did, and this was just because I had parents who preferred having it all in one place because they had multiple students, and some teachers on Dojo posted 500 things and some people only posted one thing. So I actually utilized another Google tool called Google Sites and created a website for my students. So it was very simple. I just, just like I was doing in the post weekly, I'd already had them made. So easily they were able to see what was going on in the tab. They could see what week it was. They could click on the week. They could see the weekly overdue, the must do, the daily lesson plan, and it was all there at the click of their finger to be able to see what was happening. Now, of course, as it's loading, you'll be able to see. So like this was their must do task of the week. They could do daily lesson plans. It was up to them, but they were able to navigate. I even had some families that it was easier for them to do stuff later. It's just, they were working, they couldn't. And so this Google site allowed them to kind of go back and do things that they hadn't done before. So it's just another way to display. And I know that's a lot, but every parent and family is different. So it just allowed, and it kind of kept it all in one place. So I easily just shared my Google Sites to my principal, and then she was able to just go on and see, oh, what were the lesson plans for the week, or, oh, what they're doing. And then I also created a one-stop shop to be able to watch any video lessons, information, and even access to clickable links to iReady and Reading Eggs and things like that. Now, we are going to be getting class links, so this kind of won't be needed anymore, but it was nice to have during the virtual learning and things like that. And then the last thing that I did to really help with communication was more for the student side. And it was when I created their daily lesson plans, I put in an audio feature to be able to make it more independent. So as the students were going through, they didn't need their parent right next to them to make sure and reading the different things. Now, I will say adding an audio took a couple extra steps, and in just a moment, I'm going to show you an easier way to do it. But what I had to do is on my computer or on my phone, I recorded an MP4 file of me just reading the directions and things like that. I then uploaded it to my Google Drive, and then under the insert, you see an audio tab, and you click on it and then search for the audio in your drive. So I have all, and then it easily goes up. So then when you click on it, it would then play the audio for the students. So that kind of helped me create a communication with my students and my parents if they were still wondering, and also helped create the independence. Now I am excited to share another tool that kind of takes this, and I'll tell it in just a moment. So are there any other questions or wonderings about communication?
Man, I think you just blew everybody's mind. So everyone's just kind of sitting back and waiting to put the pieces of the brains back in. So we'll see how it goes in just a minute.
Okay, well, I will say my mind was blown when I learned it too. Thank goodness for TikTok. It teaches you so many new things. All right, so now we're going to get into, I guess, the nitty gritty of some tools that I used. Now, I'm just going to preface, there's going to be a lot that I throw at you and ideas to get your brain going. This is not for you to it's just for you to get your toes wet, and then you can explore to see what tools would be successful for you and your students at the time. So first, in Google Slides, I just shared about the audio feature. Well, there's actually a extension. I'm trying to make sure I use my correct Google terms. So it's an extension that you can add through the Chrome Web Store that allows you to easily embed videos into your slide to give directions. So no more having to record an MP4 file, put it to your drive, upload it. It easily is done. So let's see if it's going to let me show you all it. So right here in my Google Chrome, you'll see this orange paper with a red button. So the extension is called Record to Slides. Record to Slides will only pop up in any Google application that it allows. So as you can see, there's this little blue camera with a plus sign. That means that I'm able to record directly to the slide. So if I wanted to say, oh, I really want to read this to them and give them directions, I can easily click on the button. You'll see my face. I would press the green button to begin recording. It will record it. You can rewatch the playback, and then you just press OK, and it loads directly to your slide. So then it allows for them to just click on it, read what's happening, and go about their day. I have not tried to see how long it will record for, but so far it's been at least 2 minutes. So hopefully your directions wouldn't be longer than that for it. But 2 minutes allows you to really take that visual learning and make it to an auditory as well. So I learned that literally a couple of days ago, and it's been a lifesaver for me just prepping for things and teaching in summer school. So it's been nice even sending my kids out, they can watch it and be able to see it, but it still gives them that face-to-face interaction. So that's a fun one to use. Any questions about that add-on or anything you want to add, Arthur, about Google Slides?
No, that was great. And for those of you who have seen her previous sessions, you know there's also the record feature natively in Class Dojo, but as you continue to incorporate those other tools, this makes things a lot easier.
So to use that feature, do we go into the Chrome store to download that first before using this video? Okay.
Yes, yeah. So you'll go to your Chrome store, click extensions, and just search record to slides, and then you'll add it, and then it will pop up. So another tool that I used, and this was very helpful in just collecting data, which I know we didn't have to take grades in March, but this was just to allow me, was on Google Forms as well. And this is nothing kind of new to Google Forms if you've played around with it. For me, it was nice because Google Forms, you're able to add pictures as for your question and for your answers. So I was easily able to kind of post things, and it was usable for my students. So it did require my parent or the parents to read the question, but a lot of my kids, when they knew that I was practicing CVC words, they were able to just match it. So like, what's this CVC word? They saw the picture, they could click on their answer. Or here, I had a picture of the word, and then they had to match the picture to the word. So it just allowed me, I think we think that Google Forms is a lot for just like typing answers and clicking little things, but you can add pictures and videos to help guide that learning and really keep all of your responses into one place and be able to help. So that was just a tool that I kind of forgot about, but it's actually really useful at your fingertips. So now the next two, which I'm going to go ahead and preface. So I'm going to show you Nearpod today and why I think it would be very helpful and a great tool to embed into Class Dojo. I'm not going to do a lot about it. So I have a session on the 21st next week. I know that there's EL training, so it will be recorded. Really showing you how to create and explore with Nearpod and make it the best that you can be for your classroom. So I just want to preface that. Go ahead and ask questions as you can, but some of them I may just say, hey, we're going to answer that next week. So Nearpod, if you do not know what it is pretty much an interactive PowerPoint session. Inside Nearpod, you can have a live lesson going like as if you were teaching via Zoom or in your classroom, but you can also have a student pace where they can kind of do it for homework. I know that there are some people that, we talked about Seesaw in one of these activities. This pretty much is making Seesaw and putting it with Dojo because there are so many different interactive activities that they can do. So just looking at the one, I've been playing around just to create a fake lesson of something that I might send to my students. Nearpod is an add-on that you can put into Google Slides, which we would talk more about next week at my session. But it creates activities that will collect data on your things. So there's a matching game. There are things where they can draw on it to show their thinking. There's polls, there's time to climb. It allows them so you can easily create your daily lesson or your weekly lesson and embed these activities in. And when you share the Nearpod link, you're then able to collect the data for it. So 1 second. So let me go back to my Nearpod. Internet is being slow today. So as it is saving, so I'm easily able to, let me preview it and show you what it looks like. So as you look through it, so this would be the matching game. So match the upper and lowercase letters. You're able to also add an audio of you reading the directions to them so they're able to see it. And then they can play the matching game. So they're going to match the upper and lower where they click and it tells them if they're right. It will tell them if they're wrong. And then it's simultaneously collecting their data. If it won't, like they can choose as they move on. It lets you know how many tries they've done. And that's why you want to use the student-paced version so they can kind of go at their own. But if you're doing it as a Zoom lesson, it keeps them all on the same slide. But the different features it allows them, so like this one says, draw a picture that starts with the letter T. So if they're on a tablet, they can do this, or if they're on a device. So I'm going to attempt to draw a turtle. We'll see how this goes. Best turtle I can do. But it allows them to show their learning in different ways and send it to you and easily collect the data. The poll feature asks them a question and then they can answer it. So you can have it. If I wasn't in the preview mode, it would have a little speaker next to it where it would read to them, what letter does this picture start with? And then their dog, they press the D, and then it would submit it. So it really allows for you to make your lessons interactive and fun. It collects the data for you, and then it gives you multiple ways. So if you want to put it in as a student-paced lesson where they can go through and just do it on their own pace, or if you want to have a Zoom lesson in person, or if you're teaching in class. So some schools are 1-to-1 for K through 2 or 3 through 5, and so you could use that to teach in your classroom, but then also with your students that are at home, they can kind of follow along. I know that was a very quick overview on Nearpod, but is there any questions or any clarifications? I know I went really fast.
Just a question from Heather about wanting to see where data is collected, if you have time to show that.
Yeah. Hold on one second. I don't have any, of course, for my kids because we just purchased it from the district, but I presented some trainings. Let's see. So when you create your lesson, you would click on your 3 dots and you can go down to reports. And then from there, you can look at, I think I picked one that didn't have any data in it, but from there, it would give you all the slides and it would view all the presentations. You can look at the different slides. So like this was a collaborate, which we used a lot in this presentation. So I would click on it. It would tell me the session and I'm able to see who was participating and things like that. I'm able to click in on their names if it was other like a match it and things like that, and it would tell me the number of tries. It would tell me which ones they got wrong and things like that. So Collaborate's not the best to show, but it's easy to just look at the report and it gives you that data instantly. And of course, next week I will go more in depth because I'm going to have my students now play around with a Nearpod, so I'll be able to really show that data. But it's easy at the click of your fingertips to be able to see what is in there. I'm trying to find the lesson that we did something else with so I could show you. Let's try this one. Let's see. See if it lets me. So yeah, so like it shows you a summary of how many in general, either answered questions and skipped their general participation. It shows me the matching pair. I can easily click in and see, okay, how many of them did it, how many of them did it. It tells me their number of tries, how many matches they got correct. I can even look in, like this one I had the collaborate where I can see the whole board, so I could easily look at it. The flip grid, it's embedded into it, and I can easily go and look straight to that flip grid and be able to see their things. So it allows for a lot. You can easily download the report to your computer and save it. You can easily share it to other teachers. So if you have XEd or related arts that wants to put stuff in, it's very easy. And of course, I'm going to go more in depth in it next week, but it gives a great and enough report for you to really get them able to collect that data. Any other questions, Arthur, for Nearpod?
Nah, people are keeping their heads down, so I think it's all right.
Okay. And then the last tool that I utilize, which some people may have heard about, is called Boom Learning. It's essentially kind of like Nearpod, but a little bit, I just feel I guess I don't want to call it childish because it's not like immature, but it just makes it fun and exciting. So boom cards you can either make on your own, or you can find free ones or purchase them through either the Boom Learning cards or Teachers Pay Teachers, if that's what you want to do. But it allows you to individually assign activities to the student, but it allows it to be interactive. So I'm just going to show you real quick. So like this one's a counting to 1 to 20. So the students would just count the eggs. There's even a voice that they clicked. It would read count the eggs, and they would count it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So they would click it. So if they got it, they clicked this one, it would tell them wrong and make them keep trying. And when they got it right, it would give them a good sound, and it would move on to the next. And it allows them to go through. You can decide if you want to force them to do all of it. There's even a give up, surrender, and it tells you, oh, this was the answer. And then it would have you review it and things like that. This also collects data to be able to see, you know, how many of your students got correct and things like that. So like if I clicked on reports, trying to think of one my students have done. I think math. I did this one. Oh, sorry. I can easily see if I were to look here that this student, how long they've been on it, what was their best and their last, how many they got out of, and things like that. So it allows them to see it. It's not an intense detail, but it's good for extra practice and to be able to assign. So they have it for math, reading, comprehension, phonics, sight words, and things like that. It's just another fun, interactive way to embed in with Dojo to be able to explore and learn. You can create an account to track their data, or if you're like, oh, I just want them to have extra practice, you can share it as a fast play code embedded into your Dojo post, and it's easily where they can just practice it and play. You just aren't getting the data for it. So there's different uses for it, but it's just kind of a fun new way to kind of engage their learning. I know some people were talking about, you know, that's something they loved about Seesaw, which, you know, Seesaw is can be an expensive platform. This allows for it to be embedded with a free, things like that. So I know we have about 30 minutes left, but I felt like there would be a lot of questions and wonderings, or you sharing out, you know, things that you're ahas about. You can either do it in the chat, or we would love for you to unmute yourself and share some more.
Colleen, we've got one from Teresa about, I think it was, is this Boom Learning? Is this free? Boom cards?
So Boom Learning is free. There's kind of like different levels of it. So if you just want to share out fast play and let them just practice without tracking the data, it is free for you to sign up for. If you wanted to track data, now I will say that I personally, just to see how it tracks data, I paid for it myself. But I had other teachers on my team that just did it for them to have the practice. And they said, you know, it was completely free and it was great. So it just depends on you, but there is a free option.
Other question was, and I'm pretty sure the answer is no, but they ask, is this an extension or its own website?
It's on a website.
And then we have one more from Sarah asking, do you use Google Classroom in addition to Class Dojo and your website that you built?
So I only used Class Dojo and the Google Sites, my classroom site, because students were able to turn in assignments on Class Dojo through the portfolio section. So in my lesson that I hyperlinked in, I just would put a little post with a little Dojo monster and say, hey, post this to your portfolio. And they were easily able to turn in assignments and things like that. So I did not use both. With my students, just in particular, I wanted them to feel as independent as possible, because I know the parents were working and they were overwhelmed and things like that. So it was easier to use Dojo because the students could do it on their own. It was very easy to see. And I know Arthur has shared in past sessions that his daughter in first grade, he kind of just handed her a tablet and said, hey, figure it out. And she was able to just navigate it herself. and things like that. So I just used Class Dojo and the Google Sites to share information, and it worked really well, and I had really great participation. It was just the consistency in the wording.
Do you happen to remember, we had a question about the cost for your Boom Learning subscription?
I want to say that it was like $10 for the year, but do not quote me on that. There's different levels of how much you like, if you want to be this like intense creator. I don't really remember it all, but it was not, I mean, I'm a very, save my pennies kind of person. So the deal was worth it when I looked at it. So it's most definitely, if you go to boomlearning.com, it easily goes up. And I think you get like a month free. So yeah. I just kind of wanted to do a check-in and just see, what wonderings or worries that you have of using Dojo or other platforms, or what you're excited about to try, and things like that. Definitely can share in the chat or unmute yourself.
I'll just play devil's advocate. I know Colleen loves this game. When you showed us Class Dojo, you showed us links from Class Dojo to a whole bunch of Google tools, and then you built a website alongside of that, and I don't know, probably you built your own car in your free time, but it sounded like a lot. How do you make that work as far as managing your time and actually doing this job of teaching and on top of that?
Right. No, that's a really great question. So for me, I just like when we started virtual learning, we were all thrown in. It first started just by getting them to get on and use a Google slide to help guide their learning. I think, we knew that we were going to be doing virtual learning for 2 weeks. So I had created a packet, or used the one from the county, and I just created a PowerPoint that said, hey, do this activity from the district's, thing that they provide. So that's where I started. And then I built on from there. And I really utilized the survey from the parents of what they wanted. So like if the survey had said, we're good with what's happening, then I would have stopped and just kept doing it there. From there, they were all like, well, we want something more interactive. We want them to be able to, be able to click and see their responses easily and not have to wait for your feedback. And so that's when I researched and I did more. And then on my Google Sites, it was just nice to have it all housed. So my parents, before having to message me at 6 o'clock at night, asking me a whole bunch of questions, they just knew right away, just like you saw in my post, the website was always in one of those posts. So they went there to answer their questions first before they came back. So it was just really utilizing my parents' feedback and what I could handle mentally to be able to put it all together. I was already creating lesson plans in a slide form every day in my classroom. So then just putting it into here's how I can share it out. That's where it works. So once you kind of get in a groove and a routine, it was very, very easy. But it is. So I would just say take on one thing, figure out and become a master at it. And then from there, you can add in different things. But before you add anything, get feedback from your parents, because you don't know how they're feeling. And if they're feeling the wrong way, then adding more just will make them shut down. Just like us as teachers, when we keep getting things thrown at us, we eventually get mental overload and want to shut down. So hopefully that answered that question, or, that wondering, Arthur.
We did have a question about if you could show how to set up a bit.ly link.
Yeah, so let me show you. So it's, sorry. So if you go, I'm going to somebody else's bit.ly. So if you just go to bit.ly, it's loading, you can create a free account. And so say I wanted to do a shortened link of this PD. So let me get the link. So you're gonna wanna make sure you copy whatever link that you're wanting to make shorter. Then you'll copy it, you'll go back to the bit.ly thing, and you'll press create. And then it says paste your long URL, so I'll paste it. And then I press create. Now you can either take the bit.ly that's already created and just copy it, and that's how you share it and it goes straight there. Or you can edit and customize the back half. Now there is a limit, but I think the limit's like 500 and something of how much times you can customize something. So I have not hit the limit. I've been using Bitly for years. And so you can change it to be, so like as you saw in my post, I had like Bitly Monday 426, Bitly Tuesday, you know, so then the parents knew where to click. So I might want to say Bitly PD Dojo. And then you can press save. Now it will let you know like this custom link's already taken. So you may have to edit it and see. So it's saved. So now it changed it to PD Dojo 123. I press copy. I can easily in my dojo say here is a lesson, hyperlink it in, and it's there. And when I click on it, it would open it up to that, whatever I was trying to share. So it opened it up to the presentation. So hopefully, I know that was really quick, but it's just a really easy and just makes it beautiful to look at so I don't see all those letters and numbers. Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm gonna let you field this question.
Oh, God.
We had a question about EL being organized with Class Dojo. So here's the grenade. Go ahead.
So I have been doing a lot of thinking on this. I'm going to be utilizing a Google Slides a lot for it. So kind of already started, you know, creating and thinking of if it's for the skills portion, you know, if it's going to be that I'm either videoing my lesson myself giving the whole group, or you know, taking it from the content teacher, I cannot remember what the name's going to be called, that provides like a bank of lessons, embedding it into a Google slide and then creating kind of interactive with Nearpod to be able to collect that data from it. So it is going to take a little bit of, you know, creating and getting my mind wrapped around it. But that's my plan, is to utilize Google Slides and Nearpod to how they kind of combine together to guide lessons. And I can either utilize it in a live lesson pace in my classroom, or I can send it as a student pace if we're in a virtual setting. So that's kind of my thinking of it. I'll probably have to do, depending on, you know, just how we're teaching, it might be that I create a module slide and a skill slide instead of combining. This is all Mondays. It's just gonna kind of see what the day looks like, but it's gonna be interesting. We're all gonna be learning, and you know, if you're ever like, hey, did you create that yet? I can gladly share it once I finish creating it, but that's going to be my start to it. Now it may change 500 times, but that's my plan right now. So, and then I got a private message on here. So someone asked, how do I have all of these like cute slide decks? I want to preference, I did not create any of this. I actually use a site that has pre-made cute slides. So I'm going to share the one that I use all the time, and then I can share another one that somebody told me about. So I use a site called Slides-Go, and it's completely free to use for Google Slides and PowerPoint, and templates to boost your presentations. So they have it set into different categories, even by style and color. And then you can just look through and see, oh, like if you really liked this cool doodle one, it shows you like what the different slides would look like, and like clip art that's in there, and it already pre-makes it. And then you just press use Google Slide theme. From there, it's going to tell you, hey, make a copy. And then, thinking about it, it's going to create already made like copy of the slide, and then you can easily delete what you need. So like if I wanted to change this title, I can easily click on it, change the title to, you know, Monday lesson whatever. You can delete out slides, but it also keeps the layout in your little toolbox to decide if you want a different style. So they're already pre-made and cute, and you can just add your knowledge to it. So don't think that you have to sit there and, you know, find these cute clip arts and make the colors and things like that. There's sites that are already made. So it's called slidesgo.com. But then I also have heard about, and I've used a little bit, called Slides Mania. I like Slides Mania because it creates interactive Google Slides. So I know a lot of people are making those Bitmoji classrooms or virtual museums and things like that. These are free ones that are like embed clickable things so that you can easily make. So like this one, I'm not going to make one, but it's like a filing cabinet, and you are able to, hold on, sorry. You're able to hyperlink in, or however Google does it, the mysterious ways, where you would just click on the day of the week and lessons come in. So again, I'm not a master at it. It's just something to play around with, but Slides-A-Go and Slides Mania are my two go-to to like have pre-made cute slides and stuff. Any other questions in there, Arthur?
No, I think we're good there. I did, oh wait, sorry, there's one from Cynthia talking about, can you use these slide templates in Canvas if they're downloaded? From what I understand, it looks like as long as you can create an image of it, which you might need to do by using an individual slide and maybe a combination of Google Drawings or a screenshot, then yes, you could take something like that and make it into your Canvas homepage. But I haven't tried it. What do you think there, Colleen?
I think exactly what you said. It could work. I have not tried it. I have not used, I'm working on my, as Arthur says, his relationship with Canvas. I'm trying to get better at it. So I'm not 100% sure, but it's very, it's easy to add images and PNGs. So I would think you could easily just download it as a PNG and stuff. Yeah, Emily, you can't, I've seen people use the online voice recorder to upload the audio. So that's great, just to use it through through a website to record what you want to say and then upload it straight in. So that's very easy. I got another question, and this has nothing to do with Class Dojo, but someone asked how I have this cute Google theme and made it have all the rainbow stuff. So if you go to your Chrome apps, if you're in Chrome and you go to the web store, you can change your Chrome theme. So if you just click themes, you can easily go through and click and search for different types of themes. I follow a girl who has a store called Hey Ashley G, and she makes, you know, really cute themes. So you can just find a theme that you like, press, so say I really like this tie-dye one, press add to Chrome. It loads up to your Chrome, and then it will change it. So then when you click on it, now I have a tie-dye theme, and you can see how it's kind of cute and customizable for you. So that was just a question that somebody had asked. So changing your Chrome theme kind of makes, you know, you personalizing your virtual life. So.
Are you on a Chromebook right now, Colleen?
No, I'm on my Mac. I'm just using the Chrome web browser. But if you use it on a Chromebook, it would change it on there too. So it's just when you use your Chrome web browser that it changes it. So I change mine probably daily, just depending on how my mood is, but it's fun. So, Are there any questions or wonderings? I know we have 10 minutes left. I know I threw a lot at you, so this is being recorded and will be shared to that PD sheet for you all to kind of rewatch. Again, my email I'm putting in the chat box. You can send me any email, any question, and I will attempt to answer, or I will find somebody to answer it for you. We're all in this together and figuring out how to do virtual learning and things. So I know Arthur also has shared his many of times, and we're willing to answer questions. So Arthur, are you able to share that, the attendance link in the chat?
I am grabbing it right now.
Awesome. So I just want to say thank you all for coming and being engaged in the session and asking questions. We truly appreciate it and love being able to share the knowledge. Of course, Jennifer. Thank you, Teresa. That's so nice of you. Well, if there's no other questions, Arthur and I will stay on for a little bit. And if you have any more questions, but I hope you guys have a great day. And I hope to see you next week at my Nearpod session to answer some more of those questions. So have a good day.